So welcome. Since we have filled the house again, I'm very glad you're here. I'm glad for all of those who were able to make it today. And let me quickly check the time here so that I won't be too long, because after me, as you know, it's Jan. Today I will talk a lot about innovation, so bear with me, and trying to set the context of what we're doing at the moment and why this is relevant for you. So welcome innovators. Welcome innovators. Why do I call you innovators? Because that's what you are to me. What does innovation mean? The introduction of something new. If you write a new headline, it can be innovative. If you launch a new campaign site, this is innovation. If you introduce a new back-end service to your digital experience, that's innovation. So that's why I call you innovators, and I hope you agree. So innovation is incremental improvements you do every day, and if that is your job, then we better make sure we help you to succeed with it. And for you to be able to innovate, we did a lot of things in the last couple of years. You know many of these. Magnolia has, a couple of dozen modules that provide amazing functionality. Functionality that makes your life simpler, that makes you faster, that provides you with out-of-the-box stuff that you can use to focus on your innovations. Examples that we have seen to some extent already in Pascal's presentation, the double funnel that we showed over the last couple of years, the ability to integrate all these back-end services, to turn Magnolia into a hub for all your digital experience endeavors. The ability that we provide you with to write apps is amazing, because it gives you a unified access UI to anything you have in your company, to anything that you need to bring to the glass. And we've introduced the apps with Magnolia 5, I think about 3 years ago. And it took a while for you, specifically the partners, to understand the power of it. If you haven't yet used apps, look into it. This is amazing for innovation. And we have a lot of customers that now come to us and say, this is amazing. It's a unique selling proposition of Magnolia. And of course, things like the omni-channel support that we've had for quite a while now. So when we look at these things, it's all about features, about libraries, modules, frameworks that we provide to you to make life easier, to help you innovate. But if I think about innovation, I think about you, I think about people. As people, you are the guys who come up with new ideas. You are the guys that introduce new ideas. And if you are fighting your tools, then you definitely will not be able to innovate, or at least your capacity for innovation will decrease dramatically. If you work on things that are really outside of your core strength, your capacity for innovation will decrease dramatically. So while we cannot, obviously, and don't want to replace your human resource department, we can make sure that you, as developers, as content editors, even as business people, can focus on their core strengths. And this way help you to innovate better. And the second aspect of innovation, outside of features and functionality, for me is speed. Today, in our connected world, innovations spread quickly. If you're not the first one who comes up with a new idea, you at least want to make sure that you're there as fast as possible. You don't want to wait for 3 months or 4, 5, 6 months or a year until whatever digital presence you're working with actually has the innovations that your competitors have already introduced in the market. So speed is of essence so that you can succeed with your business. And that's what we want, right? As Magnolia, we need you to succeed. We are putting a lot of effort into that, because unless you are successful, we won't either. If you introduce speed, there is a risk of crashing. There's a risk of accidents, of bugs, and failure. The faster you go, the more stuff can go wrong, right? That's why in IT, we try to contain the risk. We have a mantra that says, never change a running system. I guess you all have heard that before. Now, how does that fit together with the need to innovate? If you can't change the running system, how do you want to innovate? Obviously, that's not possible. So, if we talk about the risk that is inherent in anything we do when we roll out new software, then the way that we deal with it is we try to avoid it. We try to avoid failure by saying never change a running system, by establishing processes, by setting up integration test environments, user acceptance test environments, by doing backup and restore functionality, and, which is really critical at this point, because all of this is so complex, we use deployment windows. All of you do, right? You deploy a new version of whatever you do maybe once a month. If you're really progressive and you've got your, all your processes covered, you do it every second week, and I think that would be quite impressive. Some people do it every 3 months or even less often. Now, what does that mean for you in terms of security? So, yes, you're trying to avoid too many changes. At the same time, you expose your system to vulnerabilities, because if we do an update, you want to have that as fast as possible. And also, if a feature doesn't make it into your next release cycle, because maybe it fails user acceptance tests, you will have to wait another 4 weeks. Clearly, that's in stark contrast to what you want. You want to innovate. You have to innovate. Now, if I talk about, giving you the tools to innovate, to make your job easier, and speeding up the whole thing, and avoiding crashes, let me tell you a little framework story, if you want, about me and my PC. I've studied for a fairly long time, and luckily, during that time, I was never exposed to a PC, and I'm not going into PC bashing, that time is over, but I was never exposed to a PC. The best machine I owned was a Next Station that I bought in '92. But then I went out from uni and got my first job. Lo and behold, what was sitting on my desk, a PC. And back then, and luckily there was also a Spark station right next to it, but I had to use the PC, and back then, as today, my job was to look at new stuff, to see the implications of what is happening out there, to understand where is the innovation coming from, what is happening, right? And to do that, I install software, I test stuff. And that's fairly easy. It was fairly easy even back then when I started with my first job. We did have internet access and not so bad to boot. I install software and test it, and on a PC, as you might remember, that's fairly easy, but if you want to remove the software, there comes the hard part. So you might remove it if you figure out how, maybe you find an uninstaller. But, inevitably there would be some DLLs lying around or whatever. Some crap would remain in the system. And the only option to get rid of it was to reinstall the system. And that's what I did every 2 weeks for 3 years in my first job. Clearly, while we have the speed, there is some corollary to it, and that is the freedom to explore. This is what we want, right? So, if you contrast that with iOS, we go for a drink tonight at the party, you tell me about a great app, I can download it, nice, I don't like it, I delete it, it's gone, I never have to think about it anymore. So the consequences of what we do, we also have to take into consideration. And this has implications for innovation. And one of the greatest innovators of all time, not in our realm, but in the musical space, said this. He said, it's not the note that you're playing right now that you think is wrong, right? It's not the note that is wrong. It's actually the note that you play after that. And this really encapsulates how I think about what we do now. So the freedom to explore, if you wish to play whatever note comes to your mind, needs a forgiving environment. You need an ability to undo what you just did. And this is essential for innovation. So, you might ask yourself, do I actually need to innovate? I hope you don't. I hope you agree that you're innovators, that this is your job. Well, in the past, after you shipped a new website, let's say a website, right? You were working on this website for a year, that would be typical maybe 10 years ago. You launched the website, what do you do next? Nothing. You do nothing, the website is live, the project's over, right? Well, guess what? These times are over, and you all know it. That's why we're here, that's why we're in this business. Today, you're in constant launch mode. If your new idea doesn't rock, you better change it quickly. If your competition has something new, you better get going. Something goes bad on social media, you can't just sit there and say, well, we'll fix it with our next launch of a website in about 18 months. You have to act immediately. So we all know generally there is a massive speed up on the web. Stuff goes faster and faster, and that's especially true in Asia, where we have great contacts and starting to have great partners and great customers, as you've seen from the quote from Jeff earlier on. There, it's all about go-to-market speed. So if you are in constant launch mode, it means you're in constant innovation mode. And a lot of innovation is happening on the front end. In fact, JavaScript is reshaping the industry. And for those of you who don't know what is JavaScript or Java and where's the difference, just let me tell you two things. These are two very different things, right? They just are sharing a name, but they have nothing to do with it, with each other. Java is for the heavy lifting, right? When the tough get going, the going gets tough, the tough get going. That's Java, right? That's the back end, engineering heavy. And then on the front end side, in the browser, we have JavaScript. And for many years, that wasn't really interesting, but now it is. It's massively interesting. In fact, it's so interesting that it's the most commonly used language on the planet by now. And the question is, where does that leave Magnolia? Because Magnolia is based on Java. It's written on top of the Java platform, and luckily it is like that, because the Java platform is winning on the back-end market. As you all know, and Pascal talked about the engine, Magnolia Core is the most flexible content management system on the planet. And this isn't by accident. This is because we designed it like that. Why did we design it like that? Because we know that innovation is happening. When you were here last year or 2 years ago, you heard me talking about change, and that change is the only thing that we can be certain of. And the only way that we can cope with it is make sure that our system can adapt to whatever is happening, whatever digital transformation is throwing into your way, whatever new tool comes along, Magnolia can adapt. And of course, that's what we did. We introduced a year ago live development, and I actually like to call it lightning fast development, because that is what it is. First and foremost, it means you can do Magnolia projects without Java knowledge, right? You just get started. It's the front-end developer's paradise. Use your tools, use your frameworks. It's your world. You can do anything you like. You can do anything you could do with any other system that has no Java backend. So you can just abstract from Magnolia. But at the same time, you not only get headless CMS agility, but enterprise functionality. That is light development. And if you think about the implications for innovation, then let's start with people. Because light development is fantastic for front-end developers, you as partners or customers get to use more of your staff. You get to use more people. You can spread the work. And those people that so far, the projects, the bottleneck basically was the Java guys, right, at the back end. The Java guys, they want to do the really complicated back end stuff That's the nice challenge, the integration with your backend systems. And you come along from marketing and you say, I want to change this headline font or something, right? So no longer do you have to burden the Java developers with trivialities to them of changing small things that can be changed on the front end. But on the other hand, you have the front-end developers that finally can do really, really cool stuff and work in parallel. So this will also speed up the whole project lifecycle, obviously. And speed also comes because we are using established standards here. The front-end developers can use the tools that they already use, and that makes them fast. And finally, light development is an environment of forgiveness. It gives you the freedom to explore. Why is that so? Because everything you do right on the file system. You write something, you reload Magnolia. If it doesn't work out the way that you want it to be, you will just delete it or undo it and you're back to where you started. So basically, you have a system that you cannot break, but that gives you all the freedom that you can imagine. And that's an innovator's heaven. So this is light development. Now if I come back to the example about my PC experience in iOS, there's also Android. And the difference between iOS user experience and Android user experience on a very high level is that if I install an app on an iOS device, I can be pretty sure that I don't install crap. Whereas on Android, at least it used to be like that, there was a lot of malware. Whereas the difference, it's not in the operating system or the device, it's in the operational processes. Apple is putting a lot of effort into making sure that anything that they provide you with doesn't harm you. And this brings me to the operational side of Magnolia and what we introduced today with Magnolia Now. So where light development makes developers happy, go-to-market speed is not only about development. It is about the whole life cycle of acquiring, of learning about Magnolia, of acquiring Magnolia, of developing, and then operating Magnolia. And velocity is lost at a lot of points there, not only in development. In the past, and also still to a large extent in the future, if you use Magnolia Core, you will build your own environment. And this is great, you know. If you see Keith Emerson here with his Moog synthesizer, I hope you can see that, yeah. This is really cool here. By the way, if anybody has one of those sitting around and doesn't need it anymore, but it's, it's hardcore. I mean, it's a lot of work to learn how to run the system. It's crazy to maintain it because it's all analog with tubes and whatnot. And in short, it's, if you want an engineer's dream, the sound is fantastic, of course. But if you want to change it, well, at least in terms of presets and different environments, you better buy several of these, and which is exactly what Keith did here. So he could switch sounds, you know. So this is Magnolia Core, right? An engineer's dream if you want, but you have to do everything yourself. You have to do things like managing your backups, install user acceptance test environments, integration environments, and things like moving content around between maybe the live instance and back to your test environment. And yeah, as you can imagine, that takes a lot of time. It's fairly expensive because if every customer does this, right, then there really isn't a lot of gain. If we do this for you, this can be a lot cheaper. It's risky because you might not know our best practices. It's risky because you're building infrastructure around Magnolia Core, and if we change something, your processes might not work as you expect them anymore. So there's a lot of investment from your side. With Magnolia Now, and you've seen from Pascal, we're introducing a whole host of services that allow you to go to market fast. It's not only the engine, it's the cockpit, it's backup restore functionality, it's the testing environments, and even features like copying live content. So you can really think of it as kind of the opposite thing of this Moog synthesizer. You know, something that just works out of the box. I don't want to call it a CD because that really isn't the case, or an MP3 or whatever. It's really more like a modern synthesizer which has presets. But anyways, before I talk about the benefits for innovation, let me just show you what it looks like. Marketing needs a new component done, and of course the developers using LightDev and Magnolia Now say no problem. So what we do here is we install the latest commit directly into the integration test environment, and once the developer says, yeah, it's actually done doing what it should do, what I think it should do, can then push this to the user acceptance testing and notify marketing to test it. So this is, single push of a button basically. Clearly marketing will be very surprised. Watch it. I love this part. And as usual, of course, something went wrong. So Ben here will test the user acceptance test environment, enter some content, and realize that there's more work to do. If that wouldn't be the case, the demo would end sooner, but we keep going a little bit. He goes back and says, I need some changes. And really the whole story here is about the interaction between the two and how fast you can use this integrative environment of Magnolia Now to push out stuff. So we go through the same process again, and once the update is there, Ben can check it, and hopefully he's happy this time, because otherwise we'll have to go through this again and again. Yes, looks good to me. Of course, this being Magnolia, they now go and get a coffee. And of course, this being kind of a marketing video, this scene is super unrealistic. You actually have a marketing guy and a dev in one room. But once they're done, they get the message, and they can actually go live on a tablet or mobile phone. And I think that's just awesome. Don't forget to click the disclaimer. Yeah, very good. Right, there we are, I hope. I'm always fun. So, yeah, and this is Magnolia Now for you. Thank you. So to wrap up, benefits for innovation. Of course, you've seen it, the speed is amazing. You register, you have your environment, everything is set up best practice way. The integration is mind-blowing for the developers, so you're really, really fast. You cannot break the system. You have an environment of forgiveness here. You automatically do backups with everything you do. If something goes wrong, you can just click restore, you're back to where you were. And of course, it's great because, well, for many of you, running their own DevOps team to run Magnolia isn't really the core business. Right? It can't be efficient long term. So here, we're speeding up things massively and allow you to just spawn out new projects. Don't think about how to set these things up because they're already set up. And the combination of light development and Magnolia Now is unbeatable. You'll be faster than any competitor in the market. We have functionality that nobody else has, and I'm super excited about that. So, in essence, I've argued that you need to innovate faster to outcompete your competition, or you want to out-innovate your competition, and that For this to happen, you need the freedom to explore. You need an environment of forgiveness that helps you just try out things. And with LightDev and Magnolia Now, we have delivered that environment and will deliver this environment. So, it will allow you to change the mode of innovation. Where today, it might take you 4 weeks or 3 months until a new feature goes online. With this combination of Magnolia Now and light development, you can incrementally do increases. You can be in constant launch mode. If Ben from marketing comes up and says, I need a new component, you don't have to wait until the Java guys, put this stuff into their heavy lifting backend and do a new release after 4 weeks or 2 months. You can just do it. In fact, you can release new features 5 times a day if you want to. There's no reason why you wouldn't, because anytime something would go wrong, you can just roll back. So that is Magnolia Now, and I'm really happy and excited, and thank you for being here. So please go out and deliver great experiences. And up on stage next will be Jan, who tells you about all the fantastic stuff that the dev team has done in the last year, and that's mind-boggling too. So thank you very much.